Welcome to AFT Michigan's podcast. My name is Jenell Mansfield, and I'm the Political and Legislative Coordinator here with AFT Michigan. And today we have a wonderful special guest by the name of Kathi Martin. She is the president of DFT Local 681. And we just wanted to bring Kathi here today to place a spotlight on her local, the city of Dearborn, and some pressing financial issues that we want to address with the millage being renewed in Dearborn. So that's what we'll be discussing today. So first off, I want to introduce you to Kathi. Tell us more about yourself.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I am an immigrant. I was born in the Middle East, and my family came here when I was young, and I grew up in Southwest Detroit. That's where my heart still lies. I attended OW Homes, which no longer exists, unfortunately, but that's where I learned to speak English, and that's where I made my first friends, and went on to go to Munger Middle School, which was torn down and is now, I want to say, a K through 8 school. And after that, my family ended up moving to Dearborn, where I went to Fortson High School, and I went on to study speech-language pathology. And as much as I didn't want to work in Dearborn because I wanted to fly the coop, I ended up in Dearborn because I was one of the only Arabic-speaking speech-language pathologists in the world, because it's not a well-known field. So Dearborn was where I needed to end up.
Oh, that's awesome, Kathi. That's awesome. So how did you come to be president of your local? Tell us more about your path to leadership and about your local, and why do you love Dearborn and made you want to be the president?
Initially, I just wanted to be in my room working with students. And then I was hired the year No Child Left Behind kicked in. And I had a firsthand view of what politics does to education. Then I was working in 2012 when Lansing kind of did all the stuff happened in Lansing that started to negatively impact education. And I realized that in order to make change, it's not enough to stay in my district. Like, we were being impacted by issues that were happening in Lansing, not by what the superintendent was doing, not by what city council was doing. And that's when I realized that we needed to be better heard, because teachers tend to be apolitical. And I realized we couldn't do that. Then I started learning more about my union and how the union can at least fight to get contract language to help you out. And when special ed funding started to decrease and our jobs became more difficult, I started turning to my union, asking for help in putting contract language in that would support special ed people. And I realized how important it was to be involved in contract talks and writing language. And from there, I just started to step into more and more leadership roles. We actually formed a special ed caucus in Dearborn, myself and 2 other psychologists. And so that we used that to approach the union and say, hey, we've got a group of people. We made up 17% of membership. We thought it was enough to be heard. And then I just saw union leadership positions as a great way to make sure that people were heard that weren't otherwise being heard. And so I started running for executive board offices.
Awesome. So when I first met Kathi, she was the political action chair for Dearborn, and I was newly hired as the political and legislative coordinator here at AFT. So I was, reaching out to all my PAC coordinators, like really trying to build the relationship. And Kathi was one of the first people that really bought into what is our political program and what we do here in AFT Michigan around political and legislative advocacy. So Kathi, tell me a little bit more about why political action is so important to you, and especially your leadership in Dearborn, and how our political action, especially recently, has impacted the local so much. So tell us more about that.
Well, Dearborn's the 3rd largest district in the state. So we have over 20,000 students. We are one of the largest employers in Wayne County. So between teachers and ancillary staff and bus drivers and parapros, we employ a lot of people. And when things in Lansing, when we get cuts, that's going to impact over 20,000 students, is going to impact families. And really in Dearborn, we have a lot of families who are immigrants and refugees, and they need those supports that are being impacted by any type of cuts. And I realized that, especially back in 2020, when we ended up having a kind of a majority in Lansing, this was the time to overturn some of the things that happened in 2012, like right to work. And I realized that the only way this is going to happen is by pressure from us, because people in Lansing aren't just going to change things because it's there. They need to hear the reason for it. And I was happy to go up there and no.
Tell us more. Tell us more. That's what I really want you to get into, because I love to platform. The last time, like, I was on the podcast, what are our members and our leaders doing in action to really advocate politically and legislatively? So tell us more about what you have done as a leader and what the local has done to show up in that process.
So this is what I find really exciting. Going up to Lansing and to actually testify to lawmakers about the actual impact that the legislation has, not just on us, but on the students. And the really fun part for me was getting members who had never been politically active before interested in coming up there and lobbying, interested in coming up there and testifying. And every time a new member went up there, they would be like, this is so exhilarating, can we do it again? And so it not only makes our voices heard, but it also empowers people to let them feel like, hey, if I'm not happy in my situation, there's actually something I can do about it. And my voice can be heard. I don't just have to just be in my room and frustrated about how things are.
Correct. Awesome. And you would get some shout outs from on the ed committee, because you have a member who is actually Dylan Wegler, who is our member, was a member of Dearborn. Yeah. So we love the rich history of just being politically active. And also they are ferocious PAC fundraisers.
We are.
Yes. So talk a little bit more about your PAC fundraiser.
So when I was the PAC person, I would reach out to members and I made it clear to them what these dollars go to support. And once they had a clear understanding of that, people were really, excited to sign up. And now in my role as president, I meet with all the new hires. And I sit down and I talk to them and I explain to them, I say, hey, do you see what's going on with education, what's going on in Lansing? These PAC dollars actually help support these very legislators who are changing the laws in our favor. And we've had great success in having a lot of the new people to Dearborn signing up for recurring PAC donations, because I think educators are finally understanding the importance of having our voices heard in Lansing.
And seeing the actual benefits.
Yes.
Yes. Like really getting real change that's going to impact them in the classroom. So
this was a contract year for us, and the budget that was passed last year really helped, the contract we were able to negotiate. So every member sees the benefit of what, legislation can do in their own pocketbooks.
Yes, I love that. And I think you made a good segue to talking about your dollars making an impact. Right now in Dearborn, we have two very important millage renewal campaigns, not only for the K-12 school district, but also the community college. And I just want to toss it to you, Kathi, because this is really the meat and bones. We really want to elevate this millage renewal, because we need to be funding our schools at an even greater level and not risking losing any funding. So tell us more about the millage renewal and what we need to do on February 27th.
So right now, the amount of money that Dearborn gets from the millage is 16% of their operating budget. So that equals approximately $41 million. If this millage renewal doesn't pass, we are going to look at $41 million worth of cuts in Dearborn. And Dearborn offers a lot of AP classes. Dearborn offers before and after school tutoring. Dearborn offers a lot of extracurricular things outside of school hours, such as theater, which my daughter is a part of, chess club, and of course the sports, and other things. There's STEM clubs, gardening club. So they have a lot of things that allow kids with varying interests to be able to participate. And if money has to start getting cut from the budget, those are some of the first things that are going to get cut. And also, we worked really hard to negotiate class numbers. Like, can't remember how many classroom size.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. We worked really hard to negotiate classroom size, but there's a little caveat in there where if they have to increase classroom size, there's a small stipend. So yeah, it's a small stipend, but if they have to start cutting staff and increase class sizes, that's to the detriment of every single student. And so I would really, really hate to see that.
Absolutely. So what do you need everybody to do in order to ensure that that doesn't happen? What do you need?
We need everyone who
Tell them,
lives.
Kathi. Tell them. Make your plea.
We need everyone who lives in the Dearborn public school area, because we do have a part of Dearborn Heights that attends Dearborn schools. Everyone who lives in that area needs to go out and vote yes on February 27th for the Dearborn Public Schools millage and for the Henry Ford College millage, because I think 2,700 Dearborn Public School students benefit from taking classes at Henry Ford College at no cost to them. So this is really, important. And a lot of people don't want new taxes. This is not a new tax. This is something that people have already been paying. Yes. And also this will impact you, even if you don't have children in the district, as people only want to live in a city that has good school districts. And if Dearborn becomes a school district that's not known as being a good school district, that will impact housing prices. That will impact property values. So really, everyone truly has a vested interest in having a great public school system. And that's not going to happen if we lose $41 million in funding.
Absolutely. So, yes, go out and vote yes on February 27th to renew the millage in our K-12 system and the community college system in Dearborn. And Kathi, is there any last things you want to share, any little known fact you want to leave our listeners with? I think that's like a fun, cool thing to leave off with.
I wasn't prepared for that. Just go out and vote. That's go out and vote. Make your voices heard.
That's the best fact.
Yep.
So thank you so much for tuning in to the AFC Michigan podcast. Thank you so much, Kathi, for being our wonderful guest today and just telling a beautiful story about your leadership, Dearborn, and what we need to do to fully continue to fund our schools the best we can on February 27th.
Thank you.